Katie Nolan didn't invent the gatekeeping in the WNBA, but her commentary crystallized it. In an era where every sports league is fighting for attention, Nolan's framing of Clark-centric fandom as superficial or problematic highlights a core conflict. Who gets to be considered a real fan? Instead of celebrating the massive influx of viewership, some insiders are fixated on how and why fans show up. That mindset, where legitimacy is measured by struggle rather than support.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Reflects a fear of change more than a defense of tradition. It's less about the sport and more about control over its narrative. Clark's impact goes beyond the scoreboard. She's redefining the business of the WNBA. Every sold-out arena, every surge in ticket prices, every spike in ratings is a direct result of her draw, not as a symbol, but as a spectacle. If a fan shows up because of Clark, that's still a fan filling a seat, buying merch, and spreading the word. Dismissing them as not real undermines the exact kind of growth leagues spend decades chasing. Gatekeeping doesn't preserve the soul of a league. It slowly strangles it. Sue Bird may have meant well, but when she echoed the sentiment that Caitlin Clark fans are the wrong kind of fan, she lit a match she couldn't put out. During a podcast appearance with Katie Nolan, Bird didn't just critique Clark's sudden rise. She painted her popularity as suspicious, insinuating that a wave of new viewers couldn't possibly care about women's basketball for the right reasons. It didn't help that the tone came off less like concern and more like a bitter gatekeeper locking the front door while the party's finally getting started. Katie Nolan, for her part, pushed the narrative even further, suggesting that Clark's fan base was overrun by people who didn't respect the league's roots. The implication was clear. If you didn't suffer through decades of low ratings and near silence, your excitement now is invalid. Together, they created the kind of soundbite that spreads like wildfire, and not in a good way. Caitlin Clark has never asked to be the center of a culture war, but thanks to her meteoric rise and the tidal wave of new attention she's brought with her, she's been forced into the spotlight of every debate. Her interviews reflect it. She's focused, respectful, and constantly redirecting the narrative back to basketball. But her very presence continues to challenge the old guard's version of what a WNBA fan should look like. The hostility doesn't come from her performance. It comes from the shift she represents. Clark isn't just another good player. She's a phenomenon. And when a phenomenon enters a space that's used to surviving on grit and niche loyalty, the reactions are rarely. By the time Clark was getting shoved, hit, and elbowed in actual games, it was clear the controversy had spilled over from social media and press rooms to the court. Each incident was analyzed to death. Was it part of the game or something more? And while players and coaches danced around it publicly, fans saw what was happening. The tension wasn't subtle. These physical moments didn't just spark conversation about rough play. They became a symbol. For many, they were a visual metaphor of how new fans and new energy were being rejected. Not just verbally, but physically. The league's inability to control the narrative only made it worse. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has been trying to steer the league through this media minefield with careful, corporate precision. She praises growth and viewership in one breath, but offers vague responses when asked about controversies surrounding Clark. It's a tightrope act, and she knows it. What's striking is how rarely Engelbert directly defends the value of new fans. She'll highlight ticket sales, sure, and she'll mention TV deals, but she rarely acknowledges the undercurrent. That much of this momentum hinges on the presence of one player who's shifted the economics of the entire league. Clark, for her part, has kept her cool, but anyone watching closely can tell the weight of the scrutiny isn't light. Every time she smiles at a presser or brushes off a tough question, there's a layer of restraint. The narrative surrounding her isn't just about basketball. It's personal. And when fans tune in to see her get shoved to the ground while commentators excuse it as just tough play, it's hard not to see the deeper issue. There's a sadness to it, really. The league is finally growing. Games are selling out. Ratings are soaring. And yet, The spotlight has revealed fractures that long predated Caitlin Clark, but were easy to ignore when no one was watching. Every time Clark steps onto the court, she brings in viewers who otherwise wouldn't care. That's not an insult, it's a gift. This is the business of sports. Star power drives interest. From the moment she debuted, arenas that once struggled to fill seats were packed. Cameras followed her every move. Clips of her games went viral. And for the first time in a long time, people were talking about the WNBA with genuine excitement. Her match photos now circulate not just in sports outlets, but in pop culture spaces. She's become a brand unto herself, and that brand brings value. Pretending otherwise is denial at best and sabotage at worst. The physicality Clark faces isn't just aggressive. It's often unchecked. She's taken elbows to the head, brutal screens, and flagrant fouls that are slow to be called. When she gets hurt, the conversation splits. Some frame it as part of the game, while others see it as the result of resentment. It's hard to ignore that injuries she sustained, intentional or not, line up with the narrative of a league uncomfortable with its own growth. There's a difference between playing hard and targeting, and when the latter is happening to the league's biggest draw, it stops being just a basketball issue. Sue Bird did eventually address her comments, offering something resembling an apology. But by then, the narrative was already cemented. The damage wasn't just in the initial remarks. It was in what they revealed, as of legacy voices willing to dismiss what Clark represents because it doesn't align with how they think the league should grow. This isn't about Clark needing validation. It's about the league needing to choose whether it embraces the momentum or gatekeeps itself into irrelevance. Bird's attempt at a course correction didn't fully land because it came too late and too measured. What Clark symbolizes is bigger than one player. Her close-up shots have become cultural touchpoints, memes, posts, story headers. That level of visibility is priceless in sports marketing. She's the face of a new chapter, and yet some are still trying to decide whether that chapter is even worth reading. Legacy fans might feel protective of a league they supported through the lean years, but progress doesn't require erasure. It requires growth. And growth doesn't always look how you expect it to. Through it all, Clark keeps speaking with grace. She dodges drama, praises teammates, and keeps the focus on the game. But let's be honest, she shouldn't have to. She's doing what every star in every league has ever done, playing well, drawing fans, and selling out arenas. The only difference is the reaction. In the NBA, this would be a marketing goldmine. In the WNBA, it's being dissected for purity. The league needs to decide if it wants progress or nostalgia, because it can't survive this tug-of-war much longer. 2. What's frustrating for fans, especially the ones just discovering the league, is that Clark is doing exactly what the WNBA claims it's wanted for years. A marketable, electrifying player who's drawing unprecedented attention. She doesn't beg for favoritism. She doesn't demand special treatment. She shows up, plays, and elevates everyone around her. Yet somehow, that's become controversial. The response from some corners of the league? Silence, or worse, sarcastic takes about bandwagoners or casuals. The message is loud. You can love women's basketball, but only if you've loved it the right way. That's not gatekeeping, it's full-blown crowd control. Clark's jersey sales are another flashpoint. She's leading in merch, and that's not even close. Her Indiana Fever jersey is everywhere, on kids, parents, people who've never watched a WNBA game until this year. You'd think that kind of visibility would be celebrated, but instead, it's picked apart. Why aren't these fans supporting other players? Why aren't they spreading the love? Because that's not how fandom works. People don't fall in love with sports through spreadsheets or social justice checklists. They fall in love through stars, through moments, through players like Caitlin Clark. And that doesn't make them fake, it makes them normal. Diana Taurasi took a swipe too, making pointed remarks about Clark needing to learn the league and get humbled. Whether she meant it playfully or not, the line was received as yet another veteran pushing back against the attention Clark was getting. That would have been fine if Taurasi's comments weren't echoed by media voices determined to turn Clark into a punching bag for everything wrong with modern fandom. This isn't about veterans being tough. This is about narrative control. And when the gatekeepers sense their grip loosening, they tighten it, not just on the players, but on the fans who dare to walk in without an invite. Clark's post-game pressers have become a masterclass in composure. She's asked about everything from rivalries to race to fandom culture, all while fresh off 35 minutes of high-stakes play. And she handles it every time. But that doesn't mean the pressure isn't absurd. No male rookie in any sport is expected to answer for his entire fan base. Clark is. There's an unspoken expectation that she be everything: graceful, humble, vocal, quiet, dominant, invisible. And no matter how she plays it, someone's disappointed. It's the kind of scrutiny usually reserved for politicians, not athletes. When Clark is seen laughing on the sidelines with teammates like Lexi Hull, it reminds people that she's still just 22, still adjusting, still trying to fit into a team dynamic while the rest of the world treats her like a one-woman PR campaign. Hull has publicly defended Clark, calling out double standards and praising her impact, but even then, the scrutiny doesn't go away. Instead of celebrating organic chemistry and growing camaraderie, the discourse twists every moment into a statement. Who she talks to, who she celebrates with, who she doesn't. The microanalysis never stops. Her game speaks for itself. Deep threes, behind-the-back passes, ice-cold pull-ups from the logo. She's not just flashy, she's surgical. Clark's on-court highlights are proof that this isn't a hype machine built on media illusions. She delivers, game after game. And yet, her skill is rarely the focus. Instead, debates rage about whether fans deserve to be there or whether she's being protected too much or not enough. The actual basketball gets lost in a whirlwind of purity tests. The WNBA keeps saying it wants to grow, but it won't grow by punishing the people responsible for that growth. Every time a new set of match photos drops, they explode across fan pages and news sites. But the comment sections have changed. Instead of excitement, there's pushback, accusations of favoritism, demand to show other players more. The irony? These same voices didn't care when the league was begging for any attention at all. Now that people are paying attention, it's suddenly a problem that they're focusing on one player. That's not how success works. You don't control how fans arrive. You just make sure they stay. And Clark has kept them watching. Clark's interactions with Sophie Cunningham, both on and off the court, have also become part of the broader narrative. When they teamed up at a charity golf event, the focus wasn't on their teamwork. It was on whether Cunningham represented the right kind of ally. When they exchanged hard fouls in a game, it wasn't just a rivalry. It was coded. This constant lens of identity politics clouds what should be simple. Two players competing and coexisting in a league trying to grow. But every gesture, every foul, every friendship becomes symbolic. It's exhausting, and it's distracting. Even her interactions with Io Wilson have been misinterpreted. When Wilson praised Clark's talent, the clip barely made a dent in the online conversation. But if she hesitates in a post-game handshake, suddenly it's a feud. The media thrives on tension, and the league hasn't figured out how to manage that tension productively. Instead of celebrating two generational talents in the same league, it often feels like one has to be framed as the threat to the other. That false binary only weakens the league's narrative. Caitlin Clark? Injury too. Injuries are part of the game, but when Clark takes a hit, the response isn't empathy, it's spin. Some fans celebrate it, using it as proof that she's being humbled. Others minimize it. The actual injury? It gets buried under debate. This isn't just about one player. It's about the message being sent to every new fan watching. If this is how the league treats its biggest star, why would any new viewer stick around? Growth is fragile, and if the WNBA squanders this moment, it won't get another like it anytime soon. When Clark appeared alongside Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull at a promotional golf outing, it should have been a moment of levity. Three athletes showing a different side of themselves, supporting the league, expanding their reach. But even that was dissected into narrative threads. Were these alliances strategic? What messages were being sent? Instead of simply celebrating that the league had stars charismatic enough to draw attention off the court, the discourse went back to tribalism. Fans were divided, commentators speculated, and the moment got swallowed by controversy that had nothing to do with basketball or golf. For all her calm in interviews, there have been flashes, brief moments on the court when Clark looks fed up. A shove too many. A no-call that goes unnoticed. A smirk that says, "Really?" These are the moments that get screen-grabbed, slowed down, and turn into thumbnails with clickbait headlines. And yet, they reveal something real. Clark is human. She's under pressure. She's not immune to frustration. But when she shows it, she's labeled a sore loser or arrogant, while her counterparts get called passionate. The double standard is exhausting, and it's obvious. Clark's statements keep circling back to gratitude. She thanks teammates, praises veterans, uplifts the league. Still, no matter how many times she goes high, people find a reason to drag her down. If she speaks up about foul play, she's accused of playing the victim. If she stays quiet, she's accused of being passive. It's a no-win situation. And that's not on her. It's on a league still grappling with what it means to be seen. Clark isn't just under a microscope. She is the microscope now, exposing fractures the league kept hidden in the shadows. When Sue Bird revisited her comments, the tone shifted, but not enough. She acknowledged Clark's impact, but the apology came laced with distance, as if the backlash wasn't about her words, but about fans taking it the wrong way. That's the thing about gatekeeping. It doesn't recognize itself as the problem. It sees itself as quality control. What Bird and others don't seem to realize is that you can't control how people fall in love with something. The gate is open now. People are coming in whether they're welcomed or not. And if the league can't make peace with that, it'll stay stuck in neutral while the world moves on. 2. Clark's ability to light up a scoreboard is undeniable. Long-range bombs, quick-release shots, full-court vision. It's the kind of play that makes casual fans stick around. And that's the point. She's a gateway, not a gimmick. Her success doesn't mean others are forgotten. It means more eyes are now watching everybody. But the resentment lingers. Even her highlight reels draw criticism. Why does she get all the attention? Why do networks focus on her? The answer is simple, because it works. Her clips go viral. Her presence moves numbers. That's not media bias. That's demand. Clark and Paige Buchers were once considered co-faces of the future. Buchers, still in college, remains a major talent. But the juxtaposition is revealing. Clark has taken all the heat simply because she got there first. They're often compared, but only one is expected to carry the entire league on her back, and also be humble, quiet, and universally beloved while doing it. It's not fair to either of them. But the burden has clearly fallen on Clark, and as long as she keeps delivering, the expectations will only grow heavier. The real question is, how long can she keep doing it without cracking? Caitlin Clark, match photos too. Game photos used to be afterthoughts, used sparingly, noticed by few. Now, with Clark on the court, they dominate social feeds. That visibility matters. It's free marketing. It's momentum. But it also makes her a lightning rod. Every photo becomes a battleground. Is she celebrated too much? Are others getting pushed aside? The league has waited years for this kind of engagement. It finally arrived, and now it's being policed. Instead of harnessing it, some are busy resenting it. 2. At a recent presser, Clark was asked how she felt about the critics. Her answer was restrained. Focus on the game. Let her play. It was the kind of answer you'd expect from a 10-year veteran, not someone months into her rookie season. That's the paradox. She's being treated like an all-time great while still being expected to prove herself. Any misstep is magnified. Any opinion is dissected. And through it all, the league offers little in the way of protection or direction. The silence from leadership speaks volumes. Caitlin Clark and Nelly Korda. When Clark was seen hanging out with Nelly Korda, another breakout star, but from the golf world, it underscored something crucial. Stars attract stars. Visibility multiplies. These cross-sport moments are gold for marketing, building bridges between audiences. But even then, the gatekeeping returns. Are these partnerships earned? Is Clark being pushed too hard? The idea that a woman can't be both skilled and marketable without suspicion says more about the league's internal hang-ups than it does about Clark herself. Caitlin Clark, sad too. Underneath it all, there's a sadness that keeps creeping in. Clark is giving the league exactly what it claimed it wanted: relevance, attention, money, momentum. And instead of meeting her halfway, some insiders treat her like an intruder, like she crashed a party she was never invited to. The WNBA's long-term survival depends on stars like Caitlin Clark. But if the league can't find a way to embrace its future without resenting it, it risks alienating not just new fans, but the very players who too. There's a moment that keeps replaying in people's heads. Sue Bird, legend of the league, sitting in a studio, casting doubt on the very wave that's keeping the WNBA afloat. It wasn't just about Caitlin Clark. It was about the fear that something new might actually work. That maybe it didn't have to be painful to grow. That maybe fans could fall in love with the game because of a star, not in spite of one. But growth doesn't wait for permission. And right now, Clark is doing more for the league's exposure than any marketing campaign ever could. She's making people care, young fans, casuals, longtime hoop heads. That's not something you criticize. That's something you protect. 4. Clark, through all of this, has never once played the victim. She's never lashed out, never clapped back. She just keeps showing up, scoring, smiling, and making it really, really hard for anyone to pretend she doesn't belong. And in doing so, she's exposing a truth the league has tried to dance around for too long. Gatekeeping doesn't grow the game. Access does. The future of the WNBA isn't built on purity tests. It's built on packed arenas, viral clips, and fans who cheer because something or someone made them feel something. That's how every sport has ever grown. And Clark is doing it in real time. So here's the thing. If you care about women's basketball, you should want it to thrive. And if someone's helping make that happen, don't slam the door behind them. Hold it open. If you're tired of the noise and just want to see the game grow, hit that like button. Share this with a friend who just became a Caitlin Clark fan. Drop a comment with your take on where the league should go next. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. This conversation isn't over.